Water, either its absence or abundance, can be used to influence the plant community. Some plants, such as cocklebur, are intolerant of ponded water. Others, like American lotus, do not persist well when water is removed. Knowledge of plant physiology is important if you plan to use this technique. Herbicides can be used to change the makeup of the plant community. These are typically used as a last resort to control problem plants, such as spot control to knock out invading willow. Be sure that all pesticides are labeled for use in wetland settings, and read and follow all label directions. Often, 2 or more treatments or a combination of 2 or more methods are necessary to achieve desired results. The frequency of treatment varies with the site. In some cases, it may not be necessary to disturb the wetland for several years. Other sites may require disturbance every 2 to 3 years to achieve the desired plant community. Remember that disturbance treatments will have an influence on nesting wildlife. Consider ways, such as leaving some areas undisturbed, to limit potential negative impacts. Disturbances need to be planned based upon your objectives. Be prepared to deal with setbacks and have a backup plan. A wet spring may prevent you from completing your planned disking, but some spot application of herbicide to control invading reed canary grass may be enough to hold you over until next year. Finally, record what you do and when. Not everything you try will work. And this will give you a record of what has been done so you can better predict the impacts of future efforts. Wetlands are dynamic and unique, and as such provide some interesting problems and challenges. We'll discuss a few of the more general ones. First, let's talk about tree and/or shrub invasion. This is an inevitable occurrence for herbaceous wetlands. Trying to control every buttonbush, sprout, or willow seedling is a time-consuming chore. Some woody invasion is okay, especially in wetter sites that are difficult to physically manipulate. Trees, shrubs can provide valuable benefits, but there's a limit to how much you will want to tolerate in your emergent marsh or seasonal wetland. Determine ahead of time the level of woody invasion you are willing to tolerate, and take action before it exceeds your level of tolerance. Plant succession also impacts herbaceous vegetation. Owners of emergent wetlands and seasonal marshes will have to contend with persistent perennial vegetation, such as reed canary grass, cattail, primrose, American lotus, and others. These become major problems when they begin to dominate the wetland. Perennial herbaceous plants can result from prolonged wetness during the growing season or from maintaining static water levels. As with trees and shrubs, determine your level of tolerance ahead of time. This may vary with the plant. For example, you may have absolutely no tolerance for reed canary grass, but willingly accept 10 to 20% of your marsh in cattails. The majority of these plants are tough, and most will require multiple treatments in order to achieve adequate control. You may also have to deal with undesirable annual plants. Species such as cocklebur, sunflower, and velvet leaf often show up in seasonal wetlands and usually indicate that water is being removed too quickly. Altering water management to avoid fast drying will help reduce this problem in the future. To treat existing problems, you can reflood, mow, or disc problem sites. If reflooding is not an option, consider planting an annual crop such as buckwheat or Japanese millet on disked sites in order to provide desirable cover. If using food plots within your wetland, locate them in a fashion that makes them most attractive to the targeted species. For example, food plots for ducks need to be in sites that can be drained for planting early, but yet be able to be reflooded in the fall. Food plots are often regarded as a panacea for wildlife, a myth that is too often mistaken for truth. Often, natural foods are more than sufficient to meet wildlife needs, and in many cases are more desirable. However, if food plots are located and managed well, they can provide important food for wildlife during critical time periods. Keep in mind that food plots are expensive to establish, require considerable time and equipment, and may sit high and dry in the fall if natural flooding runoff or artificial pumping is insufficient to flood them. Wetland infrastructure, including levees and water control structures, require periodic maintenance to function as designed. Plan on conducting periodic inspections of levees to watch for damage by burrowing animals, especially muskrats and beavers, and work to maintain permanent vegetation to keep levees from eroding. Also note that water control structures occasionally fail. The pipe leading underneath the levee can sometimes become separated and allow water to pass around it, which can cause the levee to fail. Do not fall disc or mow prior to flooding in order to avoid violating baiting regulations. Normal farming operations such as seeding wheat are not considered baiting. Contact your local conservation agent or the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for specific information. As you make management decisions, keep your objectives in mind and remember that there is more than one way to achieve those objectives. Do not be overly afraid of persistent perennial plants. They are an essential part of the wetland system and provide some unique benefits. Determine a level of tolerance for them and manage accordingly. Don't let fall waterfowl hunting guide all your decisions. Waterfowl have different needs throughout the year and will use a diverse marsh more than just a feeding area. Remember that seed production isn't everything. Do choose a management strategy that fits your time schedule and resources. The best management you can do on a site is the one that you are able to implement. Each wetland is unique and requires an individual management strategy. There is no cookbook to managing a wetland. Don't let that fact intimidate you. Instead, may it encourage you to experiment and appreciate the dynamic nature of wetlands. There are a host of resource professionals available to provide assistance on your specific wetland. Don't hesitate to contact your local Missouri Department of Conservation office, USDA and RCS office, or U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service office for assistance. Wetlands are fascinating. You have the rare privilege to work with an ecosystem that is the most productive on Earth. Enjoy it.